The Kings just clicked tonight, 51% shooting, 16 of 33 from beyond the arc. The rebounding advantage was 59-34. Memphis had just one offensive rebound in this game, and the Kings put up 123 points in the win. There's so much to go over from this game, but I mentioned last game after they beat the Hawks, I'm like, could this be like a turning point for this group, right? That they had a much better second half, and could this carry over and maybe propel them into just playing a better stretch of basketball? For as good as their record has been this year, we've all felt weird about this team. We've all been honest about this team and how they've looked in losses and how they've looked in wins. It's been really bizarre trying to figure out what their identity is. I felt like tonight's game, of course, you're not going to hold teams at 92 points all the time.
No.
But I'm just talking about the pure effort, the physicality defensively, the balance to the offense. Like, this is how the Kings should play. This is how I envision them playing this year.
They were locked in. And obviously it's easier when your shots are falling. And they were so efficient with their shot making tonight. But I felt like they were making sure that they were getting some of the best shots out there too. De'Aaron Fox, it didn't matter where the shot was. The shot was going to be the best shot for De'Aaron Fox. Like, it was insane when he was showing us early on, like, oh, here's my range, and oh, I'm going to drain it.
It wasn't his best shooting night this game. But
It wasn't, but I'm just talking about to start for him, right? And so you saw that confident level right there from the start for him, just draining it from 35 feet out, wherever. And then for the rest of the team, it was like they started really getting the best shots on the offensive end. I really felt like that's because De'Aaron Fox was such a threat from the inside and the outside early on, that all it did was create more focus and awareness on him, which then created the defense to collapse even more or just pay more attention to De'Aaron, which would just allow a little bit more space on an open three or those paint touches. Like, everything was there. The discipline was there for the Kings offense, and I just feel like that is why there was so much efficiency with their shot making.
Yeah, I noted at one point in the second half, I believe, Monk was out there with Fox, and Monk was obviously cooking tonight. He was on fire. And Memphis was trying to deny him the ball on the inbound, and De'Aaron Fox is on the floor. I'm like, that's scary, right?
Yes.
Like, if Memphis is locked in on Monk a little bit, what does that mean for Fox? And vice versa. De'Aaron, like you mentioned, setting the tone tonight. I mean, the first three he took tonight was a deep one over Marcus Smart, buried it. And if he can continue this, as we talked about in the last podcast, what that does for the Kings offense, at some point, teams are going to want to defend him from beyond the arc. And if they start doing that, it's over, because he can kill you in the mid-range. He can kill you at the rim. He can kill you at all three levels.
Think about if these guys go, shit, we can't go under a screen. We have to navigate, fight through it. Okay, have fun. De'Aaron Fox is already 3 steps ahead off that DHO coming off of Sabonis, going down the middle of the key. Where's your help? Oh, your help sliding over. Boom. Corner 3 for Keegan. I mean, that is where tonight I was like, this is what I expected so much more of from this team. And not to just dominate a team like the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm not expecting them to do that every single night, but I'm expecting them to play like this style of basketball.
Yeah, and obviously we'll talk more about the offense, but I think to me the story is the defense tonight. And yes, Memphis did miss some shots. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
But I thought the Kings really did a good job preventing Memphis from getting downhill. When Ja Morant has that pathway to the basket, it's good night. I mean, he had that one tonight where he tried to jam it on Sabonis. That was about to be nasty.
Was that really a foul on Sabonis? I thought Ja put his hand.
He was in the restricted area, and I guess he was there.
Okay.
I guess, yes, because he was in the restricted area. But you're right. I didn't feel like Sabonis really tried to do anything on that.
And Ja put his hand on Sabonis. So I was like, wait, what? Okay.
So anyway, Ja Morant, 17 points, but 7 of those points came at the free throw line. He was 4 of 12 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3. The number I was looking at going into this game tonight was the transition numbers. The Kings have struggled at times dealing with teams pushing the pace this year. Like they're so inconsistent. They're either locked in with their transition defense or teams are shredding them. We saw the Boston Celtics shred them on the second half of back-to-back in Sacramento. Well, since Ja Morant has returned, the Grizzlies are number 1 in fast break points in the NBA. Tonight, Memphis had 7.
Yeah.
7 fast break points. Sacramento had 15. And so that was huge. And I just thought they did a fantastic job throwing different looks at Ja Morant. They were not going to throw the same look. And Chris Duarte got that task early on.
Yeah.
And, hey, he played some really nice defense. And then if they're running some action, sometimes they send Marcus Smart over to screen for Morant. Well, then De'Aaron Fox has switched on to Ja Morant, and I think Fox is very comfortable with that defensive matchup too. It's not to take anything away from Ja Morant. I just think when you're playing a guy like him, you have to be disciplined. Sabonis, I thought, did a great job when he had to come out, maybe on a switch. When Ja Morant's driving, he's trying to protect the paint, but also worry about Ja digging at the ball and making life more challenging. It was a really, really good defensive effort against Ja Morant, who has been absolutely money since returning.
I thought, we've talked about how much discipline and efficiency was going down on the offensive end. And that's what we were seeing on the defensive end was just discipline. And that was from, you just mentioned that example about Domas Sabonis and the way that he wasn't just in that drop coverage going, oh shit, Ja's going to drive into the paint. So like, I'm going to keep backing down. No, he like kept his feet active, kept his hands active, tried to make life a little bit more difficult. And then someone like Chris Duarte, his moments even on Ja, he's someone that we have seen in his minutes this year be a little chaotic, right? Yeah. And he'll get those fouls and they're deflating.
1 foul tonight for Duarte. 1 foul in this game. And by 1, I mean 2. But my point is 2.
Very good. I was going to say that. Yeah. And that's and you're right though. 2 fouls for Chris Duarte, not 1, but 2. And it's so great to see that he even looked a little bit more disciplined with his game in the way that he was controlling his body on the defensive end and not just flying in there, not just getting frustrated when he wasn't getting a call. I mean, you still see that from him, but I was just so happy to see the control from so many of these Kings players on the defensive end.
And then, sometimes when we talk about Sabonis, he gets criticized sometimes defensively because he's not a shot blocker. He's not a long player, right? He's not great at protecting the rim. But I've always said the guy works so hard out there defensively. And sometimes people, when we talk about defender, they ignore the rebounding aspect, defensive rebounds. There was one point in this game, Memphis had 24 rebounds. And Sabonis had 18. Mm-hmm. Sabonis tonight finished with 21 rebounds, 19 defensive rebounds. That's big time shit.
That's defense. That's defense. That is finishing off the defensive possession, executing the defensive possession. And a lot of times too, you talk about him not being a shot blocker. You just think about the way his presence was felt tonight. Going up against Jaren Jackson Jr. too, like those two, scary big people. Like they're just huge human beings going after it, and they look so strong in there, just really pounding the ball, going at each other. But I thought Domas really won that battle tonight on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, 13 points, 21 rebounds, 12 assists for Sabonis. He did it in just under 32 minutes in this game. He had a triple. Yeah, a triple. That'd be crazy. He had a triple-double early in the third quarter.
Yes. And every broadcast is talking about it like, oh, he's now tied with like Luka Doncic for most triple doubles in this season so far. And it's just, you hear that name and you connect that and you're like, wow, that's great. But truly, the triple doubles that this big on this team is getting, it's so impactful, especially in these wins, and especially to how this team is successwith.
Just a really impressive win for Sacramento. Winning in Memphis was going to be significant anyway, right? But, with the way this road trip started in Portland, an embarrassing loss, probably, in my opinion, the low point of the season, taking on, a Blazers team shorthanded and you got shredded in that game. The defense was, and then the way the first half started in Atlanta.
Oh God.
If I just showed you that, and then I told you, hey, they're going to be 2-1 after this, you'd think there's no way. If I gave you the game and a half between the Portland game and the Hawks game.
You'd be like, who is this team?
Exactly.
Who is
So
this
I
team?
just think the response was good. I thought tonight they played physical. I also think the refs let a lot of shit go tonight. I know they ended up they called more fouls late, but this was a physical game. These guys were going at it on both sides, and the Kings didn't back down, which was impressive to me.
That's the thing that we've seen the Kings, what's taken them out of their game at times. And that's when Domas has become frustrated because he's not getting the calls. Or we already mentioned it, Chris Duarte even sometimes in his minutes. Or De'Aaron Fox is looking for the contact rather than trying to actually make the bucket first. And you didn't see that. Just everyone locked in, focused. It was probably one of my favorite wins of this season. And I don't know if it's because they just dominated. I don't know if it's because it's New Year's Eve. But like I said, this is the style of basketball that I can only imagine. I mean, I want going into 2024 consistently.
Well, I think part of it too was it wasn't like, oh, they launched 53s tonight. Mm-hmm. They were 16 of 33. It's just a balance. I think you say one of your favorite wins. I think why you liked it so much, this is probably their most complete win.
Yeah, on
wire
both
to
ends.
wire,
Yep.
both ends this season against a team that had been playing better basketball. You know, John Morant comes back. They won, 4 in a row. Then he missed a game. They lost that game. They lost their last game with Ja back. He was sick against the Clippers, but you know, they're back home. This was the first time that they had a lot of their guys back. I think I saw something before the game. This was the first game this year where Morant, Kennard, Bane, and Marcus Smart played at the same time, which is pretty wild.
Well, Luke Kennard and Derrick Rose, like this was their first game back. So it was, so even them, I was like, okay, are you going to see some fresh legs, some fresh shooting? And you started seeing that right in the beginning, right? It seemed like a little bit too much of this shootout that was happening, and the Grizzlies were actually knocking down some of their shots. But like we said, the Kings made the adjustments to make sure that they were picking it up defensively. But also, if you look across the board too, this is, I think, another reason why I love this win. Because we're not talking about De'Aaron Fox having to score 43 points to have to get the win.
That's a good point.
You know, because there has been so many times this year you're going, God, if he wasn't on the floor, what would you do? And it felt like with a little bit of everyone's help out there, they found this win. I mean, even someone like Harrison Barnes in his 20 minutes having 8 shots, you know, and I say that because sometimes we see him out there and he is not even taking a shot, and he finished with 11 points.
Well, the Kings led 70-58 at the half, and the start of the third's always important, right? Especially when you're up, you're like, you want to capitalize on that. Harrison came out, had an aggressive take, and hit a 3.
Yes.
You know, like your first points, I believe, of the quarter were you had HB hitting a 3, Duarte hit a 3, and then HB had the drive too. So all of a sudden, you turn it into a 19-point game at the 9:45 mark, and Taylor Jenkins is like, I got to talk this shit over. Like, what is happening? And so, you know, Memphis cut it to, I think, 15. You're like, what's going to happen? Then the Kings responded again. So it was really a complete performance by the Kings tonight. And we talk about Fox. Like, you know, if I'm nitpicking, you know, we talked about this last time. He is 3-point happy right now. He is 3-point happy, and he's knocking them down. Tonight, though, he was 3 of 8, which is fine.
Yeah.
He had one where, like, he had Kennard switched on him. That's one where I'm like, just go attack him. Attack him. Some of these mismatches, like, if you have Kennard on you, I want you to abuse him, take it to the cup.
He wanted to. He took like 3 steps in, and then he wanted to, like, test it out. He's like,
I think he
let me just see if I can make this happen. And I'm so with you, because right there at that point, I was like, let's keep playing the best basketball. Let's not, there's no reason to experiment with that at this point, because you had an easy layup on Luke Kennard. I agree with that play, that possession. But what I will say, even as you started talking to me about it, I'm like, no. This guy, you guys, like, it's even, you think about the beginning of the year when Keegan Murray was in his offensive slump, and he was trying to figure out how to be elite on the defensive end. And we're like, oh my God, when is he going to figure out how to execute both? Like, he started to just keep growing and developing right in front of our eyes this season because he kept trying. He wasn't going to like not take a shot just because his legs were tired from what he was doing on the defense end. My point of this being is De'Aaron Fox, he's not just chucking up threes. Sure, that play that we just mentioned with the Luke Kennard, that felt a little bit more like it. Not the smartest play, especially because he could just totally take Luke Kennard to the rack. But at the same time, I love and appreciate his confidence right now with his shooting.
My God, dude.
And we're seeing that is truly becoming something special, a special part of his game. And I don't think he's going to just settle all the time and lose sight of what he can do, get into the paint. He's going to be able to do both. Just let him experiment and develop.
Morgan, this guy is unguardable right now.
Yes.
This season, he has been unguardable. You know, we talk about some of the best one-on-one players in the game. He's up there. I mean, you think about what Anthony Edwards is doing this year. Incredible. You know, John Morant, even his first few games back, has been amazing.
Yes.
And I think De'Aaron now with the ability to create the threes. I think that's the other thing that I want to keep mentioning. It's not like, hey, he's hitting some open threes. It's catch and shoot. There's paint touches and he's just knocking them down. It's like, no, I've mentioned this multiple times on the podcast, and I know some people are kind of scoffed at it and made fun of it. Hey, okay, Deuce. The handling, the footwork, there's some Steph Curry in there. I'm not saying he's Steph Curry as an elite shooter yet in the NBA. I'm saying how he's creating the shot.
I know.
It's incredible.
People get so weird
push
about
dribbles,
and
step backs.
Again, just by using the same mechanics does not mean that you are comparing that the player is that same player, okay? Everyone needs to understand that before they freak out and go, oh my God, but 4 rings, bah. I'm so with you. If look back at some of the plays where he is creating his threes and he is splitting the defenders with a push dribble and then getting to the ball, bringing it back, step, bop, perfect, in rhythm. It's beautiful.
Deep ones in transition.
Yes. Go watch them and then compare and let me know what you think.
So if you're an NBA team at this point, you're just hoping Fox misses. I mean, that's what it is because, okay, start defending him. Start running him off the 3-point line. You're done. This guy is turning into one of the most unguardable players in the NBA right now because of his ability to hit the three, create his own shot, get to the basket. He can get you in the mid-range. It's disgusting. And then you think about the other end. One of my favorite Fox plays tonight was when he posted up John Morant. And he went to work. He was physical with him, backed him down, turnaround jumper in his face.
Doing it all.
And I think De'Aaron, look, I think he gets up for some of these matchups too because look, he's heard the noise over the years. He's heard John Morant get a lot of love. Go around the league, name a guard. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It doesn't matter. Like I'm not taking anything away from these other players.
They're great.
They're great. We're talking about all NBA caliber players, but I think he believes he's better than them.
Yeah.
And I think he thinks he should get more respect around the league. And he's backing it up right now. His team is winning. He's putting up massive numbers. He's getting whatever he wants.
Well,
he's one of the best players in the league right now.
It's interesting because there's always something too when you're that far behind and you come from a small market like the Sacramento Kings and it's like, okay, well, get me some wins and we'll talk. Okay, here are your wins. Okay, well, actually develop a shot and we'll talk. Okay, here, shot developing. Like it's exactly what you're saying. And it's so exciting to watch right now. Believe your eyes. I think some people too. And you talked about this after last game and you were like, is this real? Like, are these shots real? Is this really like going to be trending in the right direction? I'm like, believe it. Absolutely. He's shooting 40%. I don't know after tonight if he's still, because he was shooting 40.4%.
He's right around 40% after tonight.
Right around 40%, and you just look at that leap even in that category for him, and it's something else.
And then you talk about what he does defensively.
Yes.
He's competing. He plays with physicality. Tonight, he was afraid to check John Morant, and John Morant's not checking him on the other end. You know what I mean? I think that those are other things. De'Aaron, his game has just evolved and evolved. He plays with physicality. He decelerates on you in transition. He can blow by you. It's big time shit from De'Aaron Fox this year, and it's fun because last year he was awesome, and this year it's like there aren't many players better than him right now.
Yeah,
and that's
it's pretty cool to say, especially when you're talking about the Sacramento Kings, because I don't think we've had a lot of times where we were able to say this over the years ever, and especially even if they had the individual talent, it was like, well, there was nothing backing it up with W's.
So Fox has now played 25 games. Remember, he missed some games with Sacramento. He's still at 40% from three. 40.3% from three on 8.8 attempts.
There you go.
A game.
There you go.
Someone in the chat, it bounced around. Patrick Donaldson, what was the Kings' record on this day last year? Great question. They were 17-14 at this point last year after 31 games. This year, they're 19-12. So we talk about all the issues that this team still has, some of the flaws this team has, some of the injuries they've dealt with this year. It hasn't been smooth sailing for this group. They're 19-12.
Well,
they're 19, and they're winning. They've got a winning record on the road. They're way better at home this year. It's great. It's good. There's room to grow.
There is, because after some of these losses, I mean, we're coming on here and we're not talking like this, and it's because the losses have been so horrible. And when I say horrible, it's the style of basketball that they are playing that is just tough to watch. Doesn't feel like it's them. Doesn't even feel like it's an effort thing. It's like, why aren't you engaged? Why aren't you focused right now on what you have been doing so great? And something else too, we haven't been able to see a lot of consistency with the lineup, with obviously injuries, and then some people, like for example Davion Mitchell, not seeing minutes, and Keon Ellis seeing minutes, and then Mike Brown switched that up. JaVale McGee seeing minutes when Alex Len was still hurt, and Alex Len is back, and now JaVale McGee isn't seeing those minutes. So there hasn't been a lot of consistency to these rotations as well. And maybe if health isn't a factor, that's something we can see to keep helping this team find the consistency in winning basketball.
So we spent a lot of time talking about Sabonis and Fox. We mentioned Duarte, talked about the starters. How about the bench for the second consecutive game? Showing up in a big way.
Love
and of course, it starts with Malik Monk. Morgan, he played 21 minutes tonight. He didn't play 30. He rarely plays 30. Malik Monk played 21 minutes and was a bucket. All right. He is leading all reserves with 25 in 5 games this year, 27 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He did it on 10 of 13 shooting. He was 4 of 5 from beyond the arc, 3 of 3 from downtown, and he did not have a turnover. Malik Monk, look, there's a lot of
what?
Emmanuel Quickly is a stud. We can even mention that trade later.
Sure.
Now he's in Toronto. And I think he's getting a lot of buzz as like a 6th man of the year candidate. I don't think there's anybody who plays with the type of impact off the bench around the NBA right now than Malik Monk. He can get buckets on his own. He has momentum shifting plays. He has plays that can suck the soul out of a team. It's in transition. It's pushing. It's unbelievable alley-oop jams.
Jeez.
It's dunking on guys. It's hitting back-breaking threes. And then it's in the 2-man game. It's setting up his own teammates. He plays with energy. And when he's not out there, you feel the difference when he's missed games with the Sacramento Kings. He has been outstanding. I thought he was great tonight.
He was better than great tonight. I mean, what? It was, he had the ball, even toward the end of the game, when the Kings were up by a lot, I got a little lackadaisical with watching because I'm like,
wow, Morgan was, this game's under
no,
this game's over. I'm bored.
This is what I would do. Usually when I'm just like super locked, I'm watching every single, dribble, every single dribble up and down the floor. I feel like I would put my head up as soon as like the first pass was initiated on the offensive end. And every single time that ball seemed like it was touching Malik Monk's hand, it was either going into the hoop or another play was being made. I mean, how many assists did you say he
5?
He ended up with 5 assists tonight. And that's, again, in 21 minutes while still scoring 27 points. That's why I'm telling you, it was, when he was on the floor, it was like, just magic was happening. It was so fun to watch. But even at the end, there was one specific play that really got me. Davion was pushing it in transition and had that alley-oop to Monk. It looked like it was low. Somehow Monk still got it and just dunked it down, flying, his momentum going forward. I'm with you, Deuce. Sixth man of the year, like, no doubt about it. And it's scary because when you have someone that's this good and he's not a starter, it's just scary to think like where his future could go and be. And
yeah, but you know what? I'm not even there yet. We are 31 games in, and I understand he's going to be a free agent. I'm not worried about it yet. One, I think he likes playing here. I think there's a lot of season left, and who knows what the hell is going to happen. He's playing the best basketball of his career. He's probably having the most fun. This is the most winning he's ever had in his NBA career, and he's part of something special. And it's not just like, oh, he's on a team where there's special. He's playing with one of his best friends in De'Aaron Fox, and he is a huge reason why the Kings are where they are. He was a huge reason last year that they were in the series with the Golden State Warriors. The guy, as I said early in the season, is first team all confidence. You can't break it. He is going to bring it every single night. Even if the shot's not falling, you know it's not going to stop him from putting in the work.
Nope.
So I really admire what he brings to this team. And he was really awesome in this game, setting the tone, leading the team in scoring tonight with 27.
And I know we always talk about this with certain people and we go, oh, when they play with joy, like you can feel it. It's fun. You love it. But he truly looks like he is just having so much fun out there. And it's not even necessarily with his body language and smiling because he threw it down in transition. It's just like, I don't know, the energy, his aura, whatever he's giving off on the floor when he has that basketball in his hands. I just smile thinking about it.
One of the biggest Malik Monk fans, I mentioned this before, is in our Discord, Daniel.
Yes.
He's followed Monk everywhere, but now he's in Sacramento, so he's digging it, right? Like he's always there pumping up Malik Monk. Loves the guy. He mentioned like today before the game, and I know they highlight on the broadcast that Malik always has a ton of family and friends go to Memphis for this game because he's from Arkansas. And they were there, 70 plus people, I believe Mark Jones said on the broadcast. Yeah. And then after the game, there's a video of him giving his shoes to a kid.
It made me cry.
It made you cry?
I cried on the couch.
Really?
Yes.
Why did that hit you?
The kid started bawling. The kid was.
I didn't see that. I didn't know.
Oh my God.
Champagne, please.
I am talking.
I know, but I just need a little more champagne. Shout out to my guy Swag
rude.
in the chat in our Discord, by the way, who just was showing a little cheers as he watches Night Chat. Everyone right now watching us live on Night Chat, New Year's Eve edition, thanks for being here. Cheers to you. Hopefully you're enjoying this. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We're also going to be taking some Discord calls later on to talk about this last year of Sacramento Kings basketball as we reflect tonight. It's going to be a party. We're having a good time talking about this game. Tyler in the chat says, I cried too when Monk did that.
Dude, the kid couldn't stop crying and he was just crying into his mom and just so happy and he couldn't stop. And I could just feel it because I was like, you think he was wearing a Monk jersey, like he was a Monk fan, and it was just such a cool moment. Ugh.
You know, I think it's one of the most underrated things. Athletes, like, I think some get it for sure. They understand the impact. But that kid will never forget that moment.
Never.
I'll never forget some of the times I met NBA players. I didn't have an experience like that. I remember being at the old Incredible Universe in Natomas that eventually turned into a Fry's. It's probably 1995. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was with the Sacramento Kings, and he was doing an autograph signing. My uncle, Scott, took me there. I think Mahmoud was like, I don't know, an hour and a half late. But guess what? I'll never forget getting his autograph, and I still have it to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, or standing in line at JCPenney. Shout out to my late grandma who took me there because John Barry and Lawrence Funderburk were signing there.
So cool.
I got a little stuffed Kings basketball signed by John Barry and Lawrence Funderburk.
Wow.
Those moments stick with you as a child. Or when it, like 2001, 2002, the Kings, Vlade Divac and Peja Stojakovic, they were doing a toy drive at Tower Records.
Yeah.
And I went. And if you donated a toy, you got a free autograph. The line was miles long. Anyway, they weren't there long enough, right? But they took down names. and they sent me an autograph in the mail, Vlade and Peja. Side note on that, Vlade actually handed me a cheeseburger. I don't know if he thought I was like an orphan kid, but he had a whole bunch of McDonald's with him, and he handed me like a cheeseburger while I was in line. Yeah. But those moments stick with you.
Forever.
Yes.
Forever. You know what's so funny? I didn't have any. Cheers to everyone too.
Oh, look at the
this
Discord.
is so cool.
Our Discord right now is sharing pictures of them watching our night chat.
You guys are so cool. Thank you. Yeah, as a kid, I never heard about those events or went to those events, but it's funny because even my sister did. She went to like a Toyota or something and like got a signature from Vlade or someone.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was for her too. Like she became a Kings fan because of that interaction or whatever happened. And then obviously watching the Kings and Mike Bibby hitting a big shot was like her next thing. It's cool what these moments and then obviously having those interactions can actually do for the rest of your life.
Wow. We went off on a little bit of a tangent there.
We did.
We just talked about Malik Monk's impact, not only on the court, but with the youth of America. All right, let's talk more about the bench, Morgan Reagan, because that was not the only member of the bench. Who do you want to go to next on the bench? Because I could talk all day about the other guys. You pick one. Pick one I want to talk about.
You know what?
Let's go. I'm fired up.
Yeah, no, calm down. Let's go to Kevin Huerter next, just because he had to come off the bench and not be in and not be a starter. It was how is he going to react? What is he going to do?
He was fine.
Yes.
He had a couple of nice moments defending John Morant. Here's my thing with Kevin Huerter, big picture wise with him. I'm big on track record. This guy has been in the NBA, 6 years now? He's been a 39% three-point shooter in his career. He is having probably the worst stretch of his career right now.
Yes.
Okay. But I trust the track record. And I hope this can be, I don't know if this is a temporary move by Mike Brown to put Duarte in the starting line because of how he played defense. Whatever it is, I hope this can get Kevin Huerter going, because I don't believe Kevin Huerter is the type of player that's playing basketball this year. Like, I believe he's a guy from last year and the year before that in Atlanta. I think he's a good player in this league. He's not perfect by any means, but that is a tough adjustment tonight to come off the bench. I thought he had some solid moments out there.
Yeah.
He's still not knocking down the shot. A couple that were short, but he had, 9 points in 16 minutes.
But I mean, as a starter, the last couple of games, he was getting pulled because he wasn't doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So that's why, I guess that's my point. It was nice seeing, like, in that role tonight, he was doing the right things. He came out and just played solid, good basketball. So Kevin Huerter was one. And then we can just go, because I can tell you're really excited. Let's go to Trey Lyles. Obviously, what he adds
Trey
from
Bay.
everywhere. I'm a Trey Bay.
Instant impact. The guy comes in right away, knocking down threes. And Trey Lyles is finally starting to get into a better rhythm. He had 12 points. He had 3 rebounds, and he did it in 19 minutes, 4 of 4 shooting, 3 of 3 from beyond the arc. Yeah, the guy hits timely threes, and I love what he brings off the bench. I think the guys obviously I was most excited about tonight off the bench, Malik Monk. Alex Len.
Yes.
I think we all we're like, I think the Kings do miss him. The way he's playing right now, I'm going, the Kings really, really missed him while he was out. What a force he has been off the bench, deterring shots at the rim, contesting,
0
rebounding.
points.
He's tipping shots out. He's tipping back rebounds all the time.
Yep.
Alex Len, you talk about productivity, Morgan.
Productivity.
I know I said that funny. He played 12 minutes tonight.
Uh-huh.
He had 8 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds in this game.
Yeah,
Love what he brings.
That's it. I mean, that's why I mentioned 0 points, because it wasn't about him contributing as like an offensive force. It was him doing all the other things.
Yeah.
And since the beginning of this year, he has been doing all the other things at such a high level, and it has made such an impact. And that's why when he went down, it was felt. It was really felt. Obviously, I think more so because when JaVale McGee would go in, there was just a lot of mistakes that were being made, and he was asked to do more than what I think his role really needs to be on a team like this. But Alex Len, fantastic job playing in those 12 minutes, like you said, getting those 9 rebounds, and just being a force on both ends of the floor, making guys have to battle, his presence being felt if they were coming into the paint. Great job.
Davion Mitchell.
Davion
Mitchell tonight. I am so happy for him.
Same.
And look, this is what's tough about an NBA season, right? When you're kind of the guy that's maybe a fringe rotational guy, like Davion is at this point. So is Keon Ellis.
Yep.
Keon had some nice moments. Keon was supposed to play against the Hawks. Mike Brown said, you know what? I'm putting him in. I'm putting Davion in and see what he can do. He impacted things. He came into tonight's game and impacted things. Not only what he did defensively, just playing physical, but man, I just feel like he's being like ultra decisive. Like he is 8 points and 4 dimes tonight for him in this game. He also had 2 rebounds in 14 minutes of action, 4-4 shooting.
The one layup on the left side, and he had to like throw it up backwards, and it still went in for him. It was luck, but it was one of those things where he still stayed as in control as he could be when he was going full force down in transition. And then obviously, what was it? Was it 1 or 2 other layups? I think it was for him. Whatever. It was just the way that he was getting into the paint. His handles looked sharp. And you're right. He was making a quick decision. He wasn't getting into the paint going, oh shit, do I shoot it now? Now that so many arms and guys are around me? No, he was making quick decisions. And I love that I don't know. It seems like he has been really making sure that is a point of emphasis in his game.
I think you mentioned this maybe a couple of games ago that you were like, you know what I like that Davion's doing right now is he's not playing and he is talking to Keon Ellis, encouraging him, helping him out. And I know we all think I don't know if we all do, but I think some could argue this whole like all-in poster that Mike Brown has for his team that they all signed before the season can be corny, right? Like, are we all in? Sign it, you know? Like, of course you're going to sign it. Can you imagine being the one guy like, hey, do I have to? Like, of course you're going to sign it. But my point is, I feel like they do embrace it. So
that's what I'm saying.
I can call it corny, but they embrace it.
Yeah,
dude. So just hear me out.
Okay.
Davion Mitchell, it's not easy not playing.
Right.
When you go, this team sucks defensively. I'm one of the best on-ball guys on this team. I should be out there. And then you're not playing. You didn't really have an impact in Game 7 against the Warriors. Your role this year has been up and down. You worked all off season on your game. And now Keon Ellis, a two-way guy. Excuse me.
Gross.
I'm drinking champagne.
Yeah, but like take a breath then, huh?
You're a two-way guy, and Keon Ellis is playing ahead of me. This guy's not pouting. This guy is helping. Being a good teammate. He's helping. And then when his name is called randomly, when maybe he doesn't even know he's playing, he comes in there and he's bringing it. And so I give a huge credit to Davion Mitchell for staying ready. It speaks volumes to the professionalism. Same with Duarte. Duarte goes from not playing to now he is starting tonight. This shit's not easy, all right? You think about it being an NBA player and how mentally taxing it can be when you're going through struggles and you're not playing. To go out there and be ready when your name is called, that's big time shit.
And two things. Chris Duarte, I did a one-on-one with him, King Central, and I told you right after I did it, one of my favorite things that he said was, this is the most fun I am having playing basketball, and I am not even seeing playing time. This was literally before he was DNP. And he is saying, I have so much fun, and I know I'm still being a part of this team and making an impact if I'm down there on the bench and I'm cheering for my guys and I am doing, and that is what all in is for them, and that's what it means, or part of what it means. And you know, the corny thing or whatever, it's funny because maybe I just don't see it like that because I played on teams. But here's my thing, because I go, if we had something for the podcast, if we're like, all right, Deuce and I have an all-in contract, like, hey, we have to make sure we're focused going in, you and I would be locked in to our contract, while everyone else would be like, what the shit is that? But
my point to that is, that to me is something like signing an all-in thing. You don't traditionally think about that as an NBA player. That's like a high school or a college thing.
Fair.
And so NBA guys who are getting paid guaranteed money going,
but that's culture. And that is what Mike Brown has brought from day one. And it's like, that is what makes it so different. I was talking to someone earlier today within the Memphis Grizzlies organization, whatever. I mean, what? I mean, they do like media stuff, whatever.
Morgan was talking to John Morant today?
I was talking to John Morant today.
Desmond Bain?
And we were just talking about, they were talking about like, oh, it just hasn't been as fun lately with, you know, like the type of basketball, but it's great that Jaw's back, blah, blah. And they were just talking about media and guys coming out and guys not showing up and how Ja Morant is showing up for pressers and media scrums and all these things. And other guys are kind of like being lazy about it, whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's not on them. That's on the culture. That's on people above them making it a standard and holding them accountable. Like win or lose, you got to get your ass out there and talk. You got to be a pro. And I feel like with this Kings team, ever since it's been Mike Brown, you don't even have to. There hasn't been anything like that. And you remember the old days with the Kings. There was a lot of that stuff to worry about.
I don't think about those times
Got
anymore.
it.
Not anymore.